I mean, relationships are built on trust, right? It's the same thing when you're talking about music and you're talking about the people that are supposed to help you with your life's dream. If you're going to somebody who you respect enough to ask a question, if they don't give you the honest answer back, it's almost like they don't respect you. Artists have to be able to understand that respect isn't always cute and cuddly and sometimes it's, I've seen you do amazing, this is mid.
I'm beyond thrilled to be welcoming in on the One More Time podcast, legendary hooper from the Clippers. It's Kawhi Leonard.
Kawan.
I've actually heard that before.
Kawan Leonard?
No, Kawan Prather.
Kawan Prather?
KP the Great.
Let's go.
Okay, I have to pop your shit for you, for our audience, like before we get started. So like, just bear with me. It's a long list of things that I have to actually read off. So he was an original member of the Dungeon family. This dude worked at LaFace Records, the legendary LaFace Records, Outkast, Pink, Usher, etc. This dude signed Yellow Wolf, T.I. to Ghetto Vision, which he didn't even realize he was wearing his own merch to the interview.
Before they had any music out.
Youngbloods. Yep. He now manages T.I., so that's come full circle. Production, songwriting credits. Might or might not have won a Grammy for All Right with Kendrick. He's head of music at I Am Other with Pharrell. I mean, he's a DJ that does like huge festivals as well. I mean, like, what does this guy not fucking do, Henry?
I can't think of anything.
This is like the ultimate guest. This is the ultimate guest for the One More Time podcast, bro. So really appreciate you dealing with my professional persistence, as Amber Grimes would call it.
I like it.
That's how we got her on the show, and I'm assuming that's how we finally landed the KP.
Yeah. I mean, well, I watched the show because I like that you guys talk about actual music business.
Yes.
And y'all give information. So it's like I check in every now and again, and I feel like every time I pop up on y'all live, I get a hold up, KP. So when you doing it?
Exactly.
Damn it, KP. Henry might not have known about those.
I need a burner.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
He literally needs a burner account because, at this point, actually, you can just, chime in. So, but yeah, so I think the way that we wanted to frame this conversation up is that there's very few people. You're in a select group, I would say, of people that have really spanned over 3 decades in the music business.
Yeah, I'm old as fuck.
And it's not to make you feel old. It's really not to do that, bro.
Fine. I actually like it.
It's meant to showcase that, like, you're not only still around, but you're still like operating at the highest level.
Still
right?
crushing it.
You just executive produced Ghetto Gods with EarthGang, right? And so like that's just one of the more recent things that I know of, just because I'm a huge EarthGang fan, for example, right? Yeah. So you're still like active in this shit, and so I think that with the music industry evolving over the last 30 plus years, I really want to dive into kind of some of the like, comparing and contrasting the different facets of the business, right? Because like you said, we are here to talk about like how this shit works, because we're all trying to help our audience figure it out. We're trying to figure it out along the way. But so just to start it off, like as someone who has achieved this, longevity in your career, if you had to sum up kind of like 3 reasons or like 3 characteristics that you possess, like let's just start it off with like, why do you think you've been able to do this?
I think one, because I can see really clearly.
Even through those shades? Damn, bro.
That was tight.
Crazy.
Y'all know each other.
We need to take a break, bro.
I hang out with him way too much.
Strange.
That was wild.
Even the shades help, actually. But
yes.
But no, and I'm not a hater.
Ooh.
Like that's first. It's like, because what I see, I can appreciate, and if there's something I can do to help and support, I do. 3.
Yeah, is that a lot? I don't know. I was trying to think of the number of things he needed to say. Yeah. 3 too much?
3 enough?
Let him cook.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to think. Like 3's a good
okay,
one.
I thought he was like, I only got one.
Making me like think about this.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
We like to make you think.
I mean, and the other one I think is I'm always in a very student position. Like I always want to learn something else.
Yes.
Major. Yeah, Rico Brooks hit that nail on the head pretty hard when we had him on. He's constantly learning. Yeah, because shit's always changing. To your point with the the whole point of what we want to talk about.
Yeah, I try not to know too much.
Yeah.
You mentioned this in another interview. We talked about this off camera, and I did see this. Okay, so you mentioned that I
told you
exactly. You are always curious. So they didn't ask you this question though. What's the most recent thing that you've learned that's helped you in your career?
That you don't always have to have it all the way together to start. And it's funny because walking in, we were talking about Departments, T.I.'s movie that he wrote, directed with Champ, and financed. It's fully independent, and it was done during pandemic. Obviously, like when you're doing your first thing, like your first podcast, you kind of don't have all the things that that will make it professional and shiny and perfect. And watching him put this together, and then when we decided that we're gonna put it out independently. I mean, first of all, by force, because it just happened to be that the strike and all these things were happening that made it almost like it bottlenecked the options into the only way you can do it without getting in trouble with SAG, without getting in trouble with the writers union. Yep. You have to put it out completely independent. And in doing that, it just worked out because now people are actually, we're learning the entire game of it. And he's getting the gratification of seeing his vision through the way he wanted it to.
Kind of higher risk, higher reward.
Yeah.
Kind of method. Yeah.
And and now it's at the point where it's made a couple dollars, and it's like
did it recoup everything?
It's almost at recoupment. Okay, and which is a big deal because he really did come out of his pocket for it. Yeah, and to not only that, pulling together all his people, his actual people he actually knows, runs with. We call them the Ha-Ha Mafia. And
the Ha-Ha Mafia.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's great.
Yeah, you can't RICO that. But it's just a real communal, thing that came to fruition, and that's dope. So just do it is the whole point.
Yeah. Man, I feel like as someone who's arguably, I mean, you've just had your hand in so many things over the years. I feel like being a part of something like that, right? Even though,
by the way, I didn't even have anything to do with it other than I read the script when he sent it.
Sure,
after he wrote it, and after he finished, he did it was done. I was living in LA when he wrote this. They filmed it while I was living in LA. I came back to Atlanta. He asked me to manage him. It was.
You weren't even managing.
Oh wow!
At the time he did it, I had nothing to do with it.
Okay, wow. Never mind.
Yeah. Like this happened. Like I started managing Tip or a part of his team, but manager, at January of 2022.
Okay.
And it was like the week after he had done his first comedy set. And it was just like, oh, this actually feels like it's going to be interesting because it's some new things to it. It wasn't like me coming back to just manage him as an MC.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like, oh, it's some more layers to it that not only are we going to have to figure out that could be possibly really fun.
And that was what I was going to allude to, even though you didn't have a hand in Departments, right? As far as like...
I did the alley-oop of connecting for distribution. Like that was my job.
So then he did have
that is important.
How are we going to distribute this thing? Okay, I know a guy.
Yeah. I know a guy.
But yeah, so like for me, I think that is what is so cool about you is that you're just constantly challenging yourself creatively and to just be involved with new things because you've done the rapper or artist only specific things over the years, right? So like someone like Tip, who's podcast, comedy, movie, TV, exactly. Like he was borderline one of my favorite characters in American Gangster. Like I'm just gonna call that. I mean,
is it because you knew it was him? Or?
I mean, maybe. Don't fucking don't
knew
question
he was from
it.
the South.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't fucking question it.
All right.
But no, man. So obviously A&R has been a huge part of your career. You've held executive titles at, Sony, Columbia, obviously at LaFace, right? Back in the day with LA Reid. Yeah.
Def Jam.
Everywhere. Pretty much everywhere.
All of them.
He's made the rounds.
Yeah, I went to as many labels as I did high schools.
I love that. That's a great way of putting it.
We're not going to unpack your high school at this point, but it sounds like
I was curious.
Okay, there you go. So like, you've told this story kind of, but I want to ask it a different way. Like, what were you told that A&R was by LA Reid or Pebbles even back in the day?
Ironically, it was told to me that it was what I was doing already.
Which was what?
Which was kind of like, at the time, I was a sober person in the crew.
Okay.
And I just kind of paid attention to everything. I was like, why are things happening? Like for Pebbles specifically, I think it was the group I used to be in, Parental Advisory, PA. We were doing our first video. I think it was our first video. Second, Maniac. And the director kept putting like a beer bottle on my turntable table. And at the time I didn't drink, so I just kept moving it.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like not even like a thought. It was like, oh, he must have, somebody left a beer, a 40.
This is in my way.
It was a 40. It was a big bottle.
Yeah, it was a big bottle. So it's like, I was like, I noticed it. So I kept moving it, but it kept popping back up. So finally I was like, you know, I asked the question why, blah, blah, blah. And I think I said something to the effect of, I mean, what, y'all getting paid for this shit? and it went hush. Like, it was a hush over the video set. And Pete Pebbles came over to me and kind of explained, like, yeah, this beer bottle pays for the lights. This beer bottle is doing, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let Reese hold it because he drinks.
Yeah.
You know, but just from it was one of those things where I just wanted to know, but it was curiosity plus instinct because it felt like it was insistent. It kept popping back up. And that made me want to, when she said that made me want to learn more about the business, like the whys of, you know, like when you see stuff in videos, why is it there? Like, it's probably a purpose.
And that's easier probably to, you know, notice when you're sober, right? So then her letting me come around, hang out in the office and learn stuff led to her introducing me to her husband in a real way. Like, she introed me in a way that was like, you should really pay attention to him. And he would ask me questions, and randomly one night he asked me about we were in the studio working at their house at the time. The studio was in their house, and he came down and played me like some Toni Braxton records before her album came out, the first album, and it was like 7 Whole Days, Breathe Again, another sad love song. And he just asked me what I thought, and I was like, well, I like, you know, he played me a bunch of songs, and I was like, I remember those. And I think he asked me something to the effect of, which one would you put out? And I was like, well, this song sounds big, and it seems like not just black people, but white people will like this, but I wouldn't start there. That was Breathe Again. And another sad love song, it had the words Another Sad Love Song on the radio. And I was like, just as a very obvious kind of thought, I was like, well, it seemed like radio would play that because it's a great song and it's talking about them. So it was like applicable. And he was like, oh. And not that I'm not saying that he did it because of that, but maybe.
But possible. But the thing is, the question was asked, and I answered it in a way that was in line with what happened in the success of it.
Yeah.
And then he explained to me, like, what you're doing is like a job. Like, this was a couple of years later, after we had been out with our first album. I think we were touring, and I was meeting people on the road, and kind of like, LA, I met this guy, like, you should know him. And he was like, this is a whole thing. This thing you're doing, I pay people to do this. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool.
You want to pay me to do that? Or,
yeah. And honestly, one day I took one of my homeboys up there to meet him as an artist, Ordering Your Life. He didn't sign him, but he was like, the way that I went about it, he thought I was doing A&R.
Wow.
So he asked me to actually take a job, and I did.
Wow.
Damn. So in 2023 now, how would you define A&R to someone who's like, what's A&R? What's an A&R?
Like, if I'm talking about it in its fundamental state, it's like the person who is supposed to be the translator between the artist and the company. And
the company being the label.
The label, right?
Yeah, sure.
And the person who facilitates new relationships that you feel like will help that artist get to the said goal, right? Like, for me, A&R is like getting to know an artist, seeing what the character of the artist is, right? And then figuring out who would understand that, who could help highlight and amplify the coolest parts of it. And yeah, it's kind of like an alchemist in that way. It's a producer too, but it's a lot of the same muscles being used, but in some cases.
Because we talk to people, and it seems like there's different kinds of A&Rs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
there's the one that's in the studio all the time, real close to the music. There's the one that knows everyone and connects the dots.
Yeah, so, like I've heard it called like the socialite A&R, the data A&R, and the kind of taste A&R, right? And even influencer A&Rs, right? But
which do you think you have been or are even still in this day?
I have the ability to be any of them, depending on who the artist is.
That's why he's KP the fucking great. Come on, drop some bombs in here. Let's go.
It's not KP the mid.
No, it's not.
KP the rich.
It is. It's fucking not. We wouldn't have gotten that guy on the podcast, I'll tell you that.
That guy has no self-confidence.
Yeah. So you have been able to maybe like...
I recognize
who people like. I really try to get to know people and figure out what they're trying to do. I ask the questions, what's the goal, and then we figure out what's needed. Because sometimes, like, some artists need way less. All they need is a point in the direction. Sometimes it's, you know, an introduction to the right producer. Sometimes it's finding a right writer who can help them. You know, it's like it's just never. It's not one thing. If you're doing it right, you should be fluid.
Sure. What are some so? Obviously, like when you know LA and Pebbles recognize like your innate ability to kind of just observe and ask the right questions and present things in a certain way and give your opinion that's a valid opinion. From that day to then, obviously, like fast forward through all the legendary like projects that you've been a part of, all the legendary artists that you've A&R'd and you've worked with, right? Like, how would you say your approach evolved, and can you point to any like, man, when I worked on this album, that's when I figured like this shit out, for example? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there any like specific milestones or points in the evolution of your A&R abilities? Because you clearly, I'm assuming you've grown as an A&R, even though you had that like kind of natural talent to begin with, to get to like where it got crazy obviously over the years. So it's like, what did you do, or what did you see, and how did it actually play out? Okay,
and it's funny because I think this is a good and bad thing. I found it when I'm being my most honest, the room feels that, and I can translate a lot easier.
Honest in the sense of what? Just so everyone's...
No, my opinion, my feeling
about the music.
Yeah, it's not like I don't. It's funny because I don't think I'm smart about music, but I know what I feel. Like, I'm really clear about, you know, I'm a DJ first, so I'm really like thinking about music in context. Like,
how connected are those two titles, right?
For me, it's probably the most. Being a DJ was the thing that LA recognized and asked me about the Tony Braxton shit. I was a DJ in the group. Like, I wasn't a rapper. I wasn't like, I could write, but I wasn't up front. But I understood how music played against other music, and even how you do things to make sure. I noticed the things that stood out on certain songs. It's like I understood how people received music, and so I have an advantage on understanding, like, yeah, this could be a great song, but how are we going to market it if it doesn't, like, where is this to be played? Who is this for? Because I know there's different clubs, there's lounges, there's hotels, there's so many places you can introduce music to people, but how does it stand out when you do it? Like, where will it stand out the most? So those things always played a part in how I listen to music. Like, if something feels like mid, it's mid to me. I don't try to overhype it. I don't try to convince myself that it's something else, because I'm not a salesman. Like, I'm actually not a good salesperson. Like, I can't sell anything.
It's funny how powerful that is. We started doing like live music reviews. We'll get on Instagram Live and people will submit music for us to listen to. And I can just tell by the way that me and Ben will, you know, say how we feel honestly about something. It's very often not positive, you know. So a lot of times it's positive, but we'll say something that, you know, like, this could be worked on. Just the reactions. It's like they're hearing for the first time. No, they love it. It's like they're hearing it for the first time. It makes me feel like they're surrounded by yes men all the time who just love everything they do and want to support them, and they think that that's helpful. So it's like the first person that's like, well, you kind of like got real, like, it sounded like you were reading it right there, and the energy got kind of off on these two bars. Like, something as little as that makes them appreciate that.
But that's how, I mean, relationships are built on trust, right? So it's the same thing when you're talking about music and you're talking about the people that are supposed to help you with your life's dream. So if you're going to somebody who you respect enough to ask a question, if they don't give you the honest answer back, it's almost like they don't respect you.
Ooh.
And I think that artists have to be able to understand that respect isn't always cute and cuddly and shit.
Yes.
You know, it's like love isn't always that, you know, like, oh, you're so great. Sometimes it's, yeah, I've seen you do amazing. This is mid. You know, it's like, and I think it's based on, I love music. I'm a fan. Like, all of my musical taste is based on early hip hop rules, like don't bite. Like, you know, the whole be original, bring something new to it. Like, show up, be fly, like, be noticed. Don't just blend in. So when I listen to music, it's the same. It's usually the same thing. So sometimes I can miss, not necessarily miss a hit, but sometimes I can be dismissive of a hit if I know it's not necessarily as creative. Like I've definitely like.
What's a song you've missed? What's a song you fucking missed, KP? I know you got one that you remember. Like, damn, I was wrong about that one.
Wrong. And the thing is, here's the fucked up part about it is because I can separate my opinion from what can work as a DJ. So one of the biggest ones probably T.I. You Don't Know Me.
Oh no!
You gave it the.
I didn't give it a thumbs down. He was like, "Man, I'm about to put this out." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Feel like Project Pet. Like I feel that. And it was again at the time it was like again jamming. Be Easy was my jam. Like it's kind of like those like Be Easy felt special and different, and I never heard a Dope Boy play piano vibes. It just felt like something that stood out. And I'm not saying that sometimes those records aren't the most commercially successful records, but they're the records that sow the seed that you have a lifetime fan. So,
that's a good one.
That's a fucking bar right there, bro. Because we like are kind of the, like, I don't know, opposite, or not opposites, but like we just challenge each other in that, and challenge our audience in that same thing of like, we're here to try and help them understand the music business and how things can be commercially successful. This is the business. Like these are people that are listening that are trying to like monetize their music and their art, right? So I lean more towards maybe the You Don't Know Me's and the, that type of thing where it's like, I know that that's going to work with, the masses, or that's going to have a fan base like automatically. But to your point, that lifetime fan, like those,
that lifetime fan
those
can
records,
give you a career.
Yeah.
Like I'm more a career artist. Like I'm more attracted to that idea.
Yeah.
Like I've done like records that have just been a hit. Like my first real successful thing as an A&R person was That's Just My Baby Daddy.
Yeah.
Like huge for that summer.
Yes.
And by the way, and as far as one hit wonders go in that conversation,
That's Just My Baby Daddy.
You still know it. So it's like, so
making sure I remember them.
No, you do.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, you understand it's just a hit. You like don't, yeah.
But like not a lifelong fan.
But the thing about that, and this is why I'm weird about it. Anybody who can make a hit could possibly make another one.
That's the Kenny Beats tweet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've done it once.
Yeah, you now know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like you have an advantage over most people.
Yeah.
And by the way, making a one hit is hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not easy. And by the way, B-Rock is a real producer. Like, you know what I mean? It was a lot of real things happening to make a novelty record.
Yeah.
But it took professionals to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like because I don't ever want to slight things that like anybody's art and how, especially when it works. But I also understood that wasn't going to be the thing that kept me in the music business per se. Not that one thing or that one kind of thing. And I'm, just based on my feeling of old school crews, like Marley Marl had a crew called the Juice Crew. And that was Big Daddy Kane. It was Roxanne Shante. It was Cool G Rap. It was all these different Bismarcky. It was all different personalities.
The fire ass
the
group.
Symphony. Yeah, they made the Symphony.
I didn't know about this group.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying. It's like, but they are the cornerstone of it for me. Like Marley Marl produced most of LL Cool, not most, but a lot of LL Cool J records.
Yeah.
But I understood early that it's like that taste. His taste was what dictated how I learned about New York hip hop.
Yeah.
And I took that kind of thing serious. Like I felt like that was my space in the Dungeon family at LaFace, for Ghetto Vision. Everywhere I've gone, I've tried to take that sensibility of like, okay, do we have this? Like, what is this for? Like, who's this serve? Yeah, I guess that, and by the way, that's what Tip is for me. It's like it served like a real section. Like it was like it spoke directly to some people. And I knew that if you can get a base of people who can true your words, then you can make a career out of that.
I feel like almost nobody, especially just independent artists, think about like who are my people? You know, what's my avatar? Who am I talking to? It's so important to like understand that.
Well, because the majority of us, and even you and I included sometimes, man, and I think we're getting better about this, of knowing that we don't need millions of people to fuck with us to have a sustainable business. And that goes for art too. Like any art. This
Actually,
is art.
In real art, exclusivity is more valued.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if what you have is deemed worth more, everybody shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
Like, why would everybody get it? And by the way, that makes those other kind of the FOMO fans.
Yeah.
Like,
there's not that many Van Gogh paintings.
It's not. So like,
you have one.
Yeah, you got to be a thief to get one. Like,
So we should make the KP interview exclusive, paid only content.
I mean, that's what we did with apartments. It worked. I mean, listen, because now you know who
He's
wants
got
it.
500 other interviews is the problem. It's
not it, but not ours, bro.
Not one more time.
I can't win with this guy's attitude like that. Jesus.
Trying to be constructive.
Anyways, all right. So kind of, piggybacking off of the hit record thing, right? So I know that you didn't feel like you were super into You Don't Know Me, for example, right? But obviously it was a smash.
Like, it wasn't my favorite record.
Okay, exactly. Mm-hmm. But just overall in the course of your career,
Yeah.
do you know what a hit sound like? Did you know all of the hits, or were you surprised by some of the ones?
Funny, no. I think it's probably it's backwards on that for me, because I kind of picked the other records, and by the way, those were the ones that were hits for me, like Ordinary People, shit, Random Enough, and I don't in any way try to take credit for the making of anything that went into this record, but my opinion definitely helped sway Crazy in Love coming out.
Wow.
As a single.
Yeah.
Because at the time it wasn't being seen as a hit. It was like, oh, that, I worked at Sony at this moment, and the record that was supposed to be the first single was Baby Boy, her and Sean Paul. And again, great song. But I had the pleasure of hearing Crazy in Love in a earlier incarnation of it from Rich Harris, the producer. He played me the song. It wasn't Beyonce's vocals, just to make sure y'all know.
It was a writer.
It was
reference.
It was a reference of it, and I was like, "Oh, that shit's crazy."
Mm-hmm. And in love.
How about that?
Oh, come on, Henry!
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ!
I'm
bro.
31.
I don't have a sound effect for that.
It's a wah-wah.
I did.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Like, oh my God, way to ruin that.
No. I got see what you did.
Pick it back up. Pick it back up. KP. Come on.
But we were in one of these big A&R meetings, and they played Baby Boy, and I was like, oh, great, cool. But something in me was like, hey, what happened to the record, the Rich Harris record? Now, at this point, I had already heard that Jay-Z was on it. I hadn't heard this version. I hadn't even heard Beyonce's vocal yet. But I was like, I just wanted to hear it in this room, because it was like this big Sony studio, huge speakers, and I had only heard it in the car in a demo. So they played it, and I just remember like kind of blacking out, like closed eyes, going, oh my God, this is amazing. But when I opened my eyes, nobody else was.
Yo, imagine.
Like looking at their phones.
The best picture.
No, it was like this huge room too, by the way. It was like, it was a lot. And
Boardroom of bored people.
Right. It was a board room. I see what you did.
Okay, give me the.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was with you on
That was a good one.
I was with you. Like,
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the sound effect for KP.
Majority,
No, I'm the one that-
rules on this one, but
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay, so
Turning Ben's mic off for a second.
hilarious.
Hey.
That's amazing. That's a hell of a control.
He has all the fucking power over there with his soundboard.
Like Thanos. But the song goes off. I'm like geeked up, but nobody else is. And
It's great.
And
It's
then
amazing.
someone says something to the effect of, "It's not really urban." And I think I threw a pencil at the person. It was like I lost it, and because somebody else told me about it. I didn't remember the pencil. Actually, somebody else.
You really blacked out.
I blacked out for
Wow.
real. Yeah.
Violent.
Celine, actually,
blackout.
my homeboy Celine told me, he's like, "Yeah, you don't remember throwing the pencil?" Okay, so but anyway, and then our boss at the time, Donnie Einer, I guess he saw my my visceral reaction, and thought there was something to it, and called up this guy Footy, who was the mix show guy, and Footy was like, he's that dude in the streets. He's the guy with the Funk Master Flex relationship. I can go get Flex to play it tonight
to see how it would how everyone would respond.
So he did that.
Wow.
And I think that night Flex played that record for like 30 minutes. But like,
I love Flex for doing that
like,
shit, bro.
No, but it was crazy because it was like me and Footy were in the car. He was like, it's about to go. He came and got me from a hotel. We sat in his car and he was like, he's about to play it. Watch. And he played it. And he was like, oh my, he did the thing.
And again.
Bombs, and
again.
And he kept going. And to the point where me and Footy were in the car looking at each other like, oh shit. Like, I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, what do you know? Like, what do you know on this dude? Like, what? Like, I thought it was something else, but it was really that Flex said that when he dropped it, the phones, like, this was old school. People would call and go, what is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that, that night it went up.
Wow. That's crazy.
But it was, again, I feel like it was the feeling. It was just a feeling. I love to be like, I know what a hit sounds like. I know what the truth feels like though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Damn.
It was that brass.
It's a fucking amazing story.
Yeah, it's not urban, but it's like a Shy-Light sample with a go-go beat with Beyonce and Jay-Z on it. Like,
wow. So I guess, in your experience then, like, is there a formula for hit records where there's like certain elements that all of them have?
Yeah, you remember them.
Yeah. I did start singing
Yeah, that's the difference. It's like when people say, like, it's like the difference in a hit to me and a vibe. Like, vibes are like, yo, it's cool, I fuck with it, I can smoke to it, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But you don't go to it for a reason. Like, a hit song is applicable to something.
Yeah. So it's intangible.
And that's something we actually give feedback on in those same live reviews, is that, like, if we're repeating the lyrics at the end of it,
it's a very good sign.
It's a very good sign.
Absolutely.
If we're singing along by the second hook, you've done something incredible.
Yeah.
If we know the hook after listening to the hook one time ever, you're doing it right.
No, it's absolutely true. Okay, so, obviously radio was still extremely important.
It was like a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was extremely important still at that point in time. But, fast forward, like, how are artists breaking now that you see, right?
I mean, this still starts at the product. Like, people like Water, the Tyler record, right?
Yep.
People call it a TikTok hit. It's a hit record. It's just a great song. It makes sense. It's applicable to if you want to dance and feel like it's some sexual shit. It gives you energy and it's memorable. It's a great written song, like lyrically from top to bottom. It makes sense, and produced properly. Like not just properly, because I don't know if that's a thing, but it's produced in a way that you feel it.
But did TikTok make it a hit? Because I could sit here and make
it a hit. The writer and producer made it a hit.
But if TikTok, no one's around to hear it,
TikTok is a tool.
Yes.
That you use to get people to hear it. Like, that's what I'm saying. TikTok, radio is at one point MTV. There was always a tool or a medium that people used. The medium doesn't make people like things though.
No.
Like, now you can try to pay for the medium to be repetitive, but that doesn't make it successful. That just makes it, like, sometimes annoying.
Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, Amber Grimes talked about they've spent, like, Addison Rae level TikTokers on campaigns that have just not worked.
Flopped.
Mm-hmm. So you can pay radio all you want back in the day. You can pay MTV.
TikTok. You can pay anybody, but you can't pay people to actually like you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you can't buy friends. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
real ones. Anyway.
I've tried.
That's my point. It goes into the shit that your grandma, I know, right? Like, that's a whole different conversation.
Different conversation.
Do we have time?
No. Nope.
I'm just, all right, I have a newborn baby at home, KP. I'm just a little bit in my head right now.
Yeah.
What is life? I don't know what's happening.
Right.
Damn, no, that's actually, it's so true, man. We've had so many people talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the truth. Like, the truth resonates. You'll hear the truth in more conversations than a lie. Mm-hmm. So, same for music, same for artists, same for basketball. Like, the truth is the truth.
But Okay, let me ask you, like, if I had 5 hits sitting on my hard drive over there that no one's heard, but they're them. You know what I mean? Like, these are the ones. How are people like making that, you know, how do they get to that level, I guess, these days?
Again, it's still going to be pairing that song that's the one with the artist that's the one for it. Because sometimes you can get a writer producer who made a song and they want to be the artist that presents it. They may not necessarily always be the personality that best sells it. Like it can be your idea, but sometimes again, a front man for a band isn't always the most talented. It's not always a writer. It's not always the producer, but it's the person that people receive it from.
Yeah.
Easier.
It's the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
No, and that's huge, man. We've heard so many songs from our community where I've actually given the feedback of like, I think that is a hit record, or like the way the lyrics are written and the melodies and all the things, but you're just not the artist to deliver it.
Yeah.
It just, your delivery wasn't the right pairing, to your point. And I think that's okay. And I don't know.
It doesn't say anything less about you or better. Like,
no.
You know, again, another random, but, or not so. And I guess I'm going in concession with other stuff, but like, 'cause I hate really talking about the old shit, but this is just a perfect example. You Don't Have to Call was Pharrell's second record he was going to put out with Frontin'. Like, those were his singles. Like I kind of begged and, you know, like, yeah, I begged for that record for Usher. But I also put it in a way that made sense. It's like, okay, if you have this hit with Frontin', you're probably going to go back in the studio at some point and not want to be on tour. Usher's going to never want to be off tour. He'll sell your record for you for the rest of his life. And, you know, and it's like...
So for everyone that is listening, Pharrell wanted You Don't Have to Call. That was his
song. Yeah.
Okay, you talk sometimes in like, you understand what's happening. I just need everyone to understand.
Break it down for the people.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay, so
you should go everywhere with me.
No, I would love to. Let's do it. I mean, you might get annoyed by me sometimes. I don't know. Henry does a lot. It's fine. But yeah, so explain the situation a little bit more.
So Pharrell Williams is an American producer.
Okay, KP. Okay,
not that far. It's like in the middle of those two.
I was looking at Wiki. But
I did wiki you.
That's hilarious.
I don't know if you've ever wikied yourself.
I haven't, because I think anybody can put information on it.
I think,
but don't you want to make sure it's accurate?
You tweeted something about like someone said that you were the founder of the Dungeon family.
Yeah, and I'm like, I wasn't.
I thought that was so funny. I was like,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, but like those corrections, because those are my, you know, like I know the answers to those people, and I don't want anybody thinking I'm co-signing this shit.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, no, but I am a original founding member.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Anyway, so
Pharrell. We've heard of him.
Who writes songs and produces?
Yes, he does.
And
sings sometimes.
And creative directs for Louis Vuitton.
And he's a happy guy.
He's very happy.
Yeah, he's a joyful dude. But he, you know, I was A&R at Arista at this point. Yeah, this is Arista, and
he really did every label,
yeah.
bro.
All of them.
Yeah.
The wiki didn't cover all of those.
No, because LaFace is looked at.
As Arista, yeah, okay.
So
that's right,
it wasn't like I had to go.
Sure. You didn't get a new job, but
yeah,
new boss.
No, same boss. So, but again, we went for a whole nother record. We went for the I Don't Know record that's on the 87-1 album, and when I got there, he played me this other one. You Don't Have to Call, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, Usher would kill this. Like, you know what I mean? But it's the understanding that what Usher's going to do, he's going to dance. He's going to do a bunch of shit to make this record that much more special.
But when you hear the record that Pharrell plays, You Don't Have to Call.
Right.
And is he asking an opinion of like,
I don't think so.
Who would kill this? Or is he just like, here's my song.
Check this shit out.
And you're just like, oh man, this other artist would fucking kill this.
But not like that.
How did you deliver?
Because we were already working on Usher. We were already working on
with Pharrell.
Yes, on the other song.
Okay, so it was top of mind. Yeah. Him.
And again, I think, I this could be totally wrong, but I think that when people play me stuff, they have to know that I'm thinking of, if I'm working on something, just know that that's on my mind. So I think that they know this. Like, so it wasn't like a surprise. He knew it was a hot record, but I don't think he knew that I was going to argue my case the way that I did. Because I'm sure I wasn't the first person to ask for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
Like,
How does that work when like songs get played? Is it like vultures coming around? Like,
absolutely. Like,
okay.
wow, yeah, it's like, it's
Is that the sound you made when you? Or Usher did Usher make it?
No, Usher wasn't there, but it was definitely like in my head.
Okay, wow.
But again, it's like, it's not to say, obviously, Pharrell's a superstar. He's a superstar producer. He's a superstar writer. He's a superstar fashion designer. He's a superstar.
Yeah. Amen.
So it's not like a slight. It's just saying that, okay, first of all, this could serve better here. And yeah, and it's, again, it wasn't me trying to, I can't slight who Pharrell is or was at that moment.
What was your why did you think that? Like, what was your instinct about, like, what was the difference in the Pharrell cut versus what you heard for Usher, I guess?
It's heard and it's kind of saw. I've seen what Usher does with hit records, with great, and maybe I'm gonna take that out of it. It's not the hit records, but like great songs, like great artists who are performers, who have the ability to sing, dance, and emote these songs to people. Like, I just know what that does, and I know what Usher's capable of. And at the time, I just really knew that I knew what he would do with it. And it was just, it was kind of like the passion of, if I had a pencil, I probably would have threw it at somebody.
At Pharrell. Maybe.
Back then, maybe. Maybe. Like, security wasn't in the room.
Not now, he's your boss.
Well, he's my friend. We work together.
Boss.
But
sorry, KP.
But in that way, it's the, I think he trusted my opinion and trusted I was coming from a real place.
Yeah.
Did he feel any type of way, or was it automatically like an easy?
No, actually, after Usher sang it, he was like, okay.
Yeah. He just had to hear it out loud one time.
Damn.
Yeah. It just took up the personality and the presence of an Usher to like do the song justice, I think.
Well, no,
right?
he did it justice, but it's just to make it supersede what the original thought might have been.
That's what I mean, like justice as getting it to the world and getting it heard and getting it performed like on tour, to your point, right? By as many people as possible.
Like that song plays every night at a club.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like,
yes.
Like, because it's a hit record. Like, Pharrell made an amazing song.
Yeah.
And
he does that.
Yeah, he's amazing at it.
Yeah, and all right, so you mentioned obviously Pharrell's a superstar. You've had the pleasure of working alongside and with a ton of superstars, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm always fascinated by, like, do superstars have the same qualities always?
Is there a DNA trait?
Yeah, like, is it like you have to have these things?
Yeah, I think, but it's the same. It's a winning spirit. And it's coachability. It's the want to be better. It's the understanding that they're talented, but knowing that it requires, sometimes things that you're not seeing. Mm-hmm. So most, I call them winners or superstars, they really are really discerning in the people in the room and why they listen to them. Like, they're very clear about, they're clear about who they are and they're clear about who they aren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, damn. It's that self-awareness.
Self-awareness is everything.
It's literally, I love, after you do this 150 plus episodes, you start to like hear, every story is unique and that's why we love doing this. But like, there's still some recurring themes.
Yeah.
And like self-awareness.
Yeah.
Oh, people lie to themselves every day without knowing it.
God.
It's crazy.
It is mind blowing, right? And it is something so blatantly obvious when we've gotten the pleasure of talking to people like yourself who have just achieved so many amazing, great things, right? And have worked with other people who have achieved even greater things, right? It's that self-awareness, man. It's knowing exactly who you are and what you're good at, but also equally important, knowing what you need to learn and where you can improve and like where you can be coached, to your point. And that's huge, man. All right, so I do want to get like one perspective as someone who, like you said, you've worn the A&R hat at every label under the sun, it sounds like, right? So, for someone like you who's worked on so many albums, like, I'd love to contrast like two albums. I don't know if this is too hard for you to like think of off the cuff, but like, two albums that you've been a part of that were just so drastically different in their like creative processes, right? Because I'm assuming there's some parallels and some similarities amongst how albums are made, right? Like there's some playbooks, maybe, I don't know, like some blueprints, if you will, but there's probably some like extremes of like, oh man, the way that we made this Outkast album versus the way that like this Usher record, came about. Like, is there any two that really stick out in your head as like polar opposites on how they were, like how they came to life? And I don't know if that's too hard of like a question. You've worked on so much, but
what are you saying? I'm sorry to pause. Because all of them are different. I would say, okay, like EarthGang.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a good one, right? EarthGang, who people compare to a Dungeon Family act, or there's a similarity in it, right?
How do you feel about that?
No, I think they're of the generation after us, and they have traits that hopefully we laid in the in the DNA of the music in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like, so I hope that there's some thread, right? But
yeah, I would hope it wouldn't just die with like when people are comparing them and feeling like some type of way about it. I'm like, why would we not want like some sort of resurgence of that like feeling and that aesthetic? And
what it is I think that, again, like we're all from the same city.
Yeah.
Like, so that DNA is in the city. They're totally different though. Like, whereas Outkast, we had a core group of producers that did everything, that helped with the writing, like with hooks and melody and just direction. EarthGang was more, they understood who they are as artists, but they weren't necessarily dead set on a group of producers. So we worked with more than, we worked with multiple people. And the hardest part on that was just trying to get things that were cohesive, but it's the same goal, same vibe, but it's totally different because you get to, we traveled more, we went to different studios, we dealt with different producers, different musicians, got more information, more things to put into the pot of the gumbo.
Well, so were there more records to choose from at the end of the day?
No, it was harder to figure out in the beginning what the through line was going to be, because they had been working way before I got there. Because I, like Barry said, it's like, I want you to Rick Rubin this shit, whereas you come in and listen to what's there, not necessarily reduce but refine.
Yeah.
So it's like, just figure out what are the things that stick out to you as a person coming in from the outside, and what are the things that are that you would showcase more. So I came in from that side of it as an executive producer, right? So, and because of my history with not just Outkast, but with other successful artists, it was like the same question, like, what's the thing that's cool about them? And we had to focus on their voices and the differences in their voices and the differences in their opinions, the differences in their styles. So I could take that idea from Outkast of, two polar opposites that sound like one thing, and take that over here, but I couldn't do it in a way where it was one producer who was, a one producer camp doing it. It's just, I don't know, it's different. I can't, I don't know, it's so many differences that it's weird.
I think I understand that piece, because it's actually a perfect, because I was going to talk about the comparison that EarthGang always gets to Outkast anyways. Yeah. So it's actually kind of perfect that you like used that as the example of like having worked on a lot of Outkast, projects, and then obviously most recently doing the Ghetto Gods by EarthGang. So it does sound like there's got to be pros and cons to the multiple producers versus the camp, right?
Absolutely. Like, it's so much easier when when it's a camp, in camp, music, because it's like the conversations are easier and better. Like, everything's kind of out and open. It's like friends talking, and you can get to take all these conversations and put them into the music. Like, you can hear somebody walking through the room going, "Ain't no thing but a chicken. Hey, so come say that." Like, you know what I mean? It's different in that way.
No one's saying that in the curated session that was set up in LA with random, or not random, but like producer, XYZ.
But that's what makes it hard. Trying to find those producers who aren't going to feel random.
Yeah.
Who aren't going to come in with a totally different energy that off-puts the artist or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if you're around for the actual recording process of any of that, but I am curious how EarthGang, like, just in an age now where, people are freestyling and punching in and just kind of coming up with shit, is because I feel like Outkast was, they were either they or, the producers, to your point, writers, whoever was probably, people back then took more time.
Every verse that was ever said.
Everything written down was ready to go, right? Yeah. Is that different now?
No, I mean, with EarthGang, they had a lot of stuff done. And by the way, we went in and redid verses, took verses off, changed them. Like,
pay attention to that, by the way, everybody. Like, so your first take is probably not the one.
Well, or if it is, you'll know.
Right.
Because the room will, like, we did a lot of cool shit, like having people in the studio. Like, we would make sure they were in with producers, and even bringing other people into the studio just to hang, like, good energy people in the room. And you see when it's right, like the room moves different. Like it's when you say it and you got to tell somebody why it was dope.
It's not dope.
It's not dope. You should probably.
So you're a big advocate of having people in studio sessions? Because some artists like Some artists like to work by themselves. Just give me the engineer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I can see why.
I don't know why. I don't know a lot of really, really great records that came out that way. Like,
and I don't understand.
And by the way, and I'm sure there are. I know there are.
Sure,
some.
But you're missing out on the data that you get by the reactions from the people, and just coming from a DJ A&R, it makes perfect sense.
That's what I was gonna say. And at the end of the day, I mean, artists, a big part of your job is performing in front of people. So for me, if you can't give the room the emotion that you need to be able to give time and time again when you're touring this shit and whatever, I don't really know what, like, I don't know. Like you said, there's tons of records I know for a fact have been created where it's maybe just producer, one engineer, and artist, and that's cool. But like, I'm totally understanding like the value you can get by having like
those people
in the room.
Yeah, because listen, man, like it's nothing worse than like the Dungeon family. The reason why I think everyone in the crew is so good is because everyone in the crew is so good. So if you're in the booth and you say something and you see CeeLo or or Andre go, ooh,
that was it.
Hit something, right? Because that's a discerning ear. It's not just somebody who's happy to see you in the studio. And
it's
really happy to smoke your weed.
It's being tapped in with your emotions, man, and like just letting yourself feel things and then recognizing when you feel things. It's right. It's so simple to say, but man.
Yeah, well, I guess my question would be, do you think that some people's feelings are, more right than others? Like, for example, your feelings have had a pretty good fucking track record of being the right
feelings are good.
Being the right feelings, okay? So, but do you think that, just anyone, like, because everyone's a consumer of music, obviously, or at least most people are a consumer of music. So, like, is their feeling, like, are all feelings created equal, I guess is my question here.
Yeah, but I think some feelings aren't ready to be in the room. Because in your car, you'll probably in the car by yourself. You'll be honest. You'll either turn the shit up or turn it off. In a room that you're not used to being in, where you're trying not to get kicked out of, where you're impressed by everyone in the room, you could possibly lie in that room to not, because you don't know how to feel. You don't want to be the person that says no. You don't. You can't have fearful energy in the room. Like, you can get, like, all opinions matter. It's just depending on how you process it and if you care. If you're trying to get that person, then it matters. If you don't care as much, it won't matter as much.
Yeah, and it goes back to kind of, the beginning of the conversation, full circle of like why you've maybe been so valuable is that you have a tendency to be very honest. And I think that, to your point, it might not even be like blatant lying. It might just be
uncomfortability, insecurity. It could be I don't know, but I should say something.
So I might as well just bob my head and vibe, because that's what everyone else is doing or whatever. Like that's what I think I should do. I've been in the studio
before. Oh god, this is amazing. It's cool.
And probably the free weed thing is
the free weed is always a thing.
Probably the thing.
And these speakers are very big, and the bass is just very loud. I love it. It makes my heart vibrate.
It's so true. All right, so I did want to ask this, like, what's getting you? Well, we kind of touched on this with the whole, managing T.I., and he's got his hands in a lot of different things creatively. Obviously, working at I Am Other, you guys have your hands in a lot of different things as well. But like, what's getting you excited, creatively right now? Because you've just done so much over the years. So it's like
writing.
Writing.
Yeah, I'm actually writing a TV show.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Anything you want to share? No. Okay, that's what you're doing.
That's the move. Like I recently started doing music supervision and music consulting for TV stuff. Right, I did the music supervision for this. It's a documentary on the Godfather of Harlem, and like it was based on the music that they used. So I got to do the music supervision for that documentary. Then the first season of Harlem, I was brought in to be a music supervisor, which was way harder than I thought, and I ended up needing help and took the music consultant credit. But that experience in film and TV, it was kind of like, oh, this looks fun, and it's a lot. It's I'm going into film and TV. Yes,
that's fucking dope. Wait,
New medium.
Like, do you have any? Is there like who's help? How do you know how to write? Like, what? How do you know how to write a TV show?
So again,
how do you write a TV?
Yeah.
Well, first you get final draft, and
that's the one I've heard. Yeah, that's the one I've heard of.
But you read, like they're books on writing.
Okay.
Like, and you get good mentors. I have, like, I'm blessed enough to be connected to a lot of really great, talented people, artists, writers, and directors, actors, and I get to see. I feel like everything I do, I get to kind of intern first. Like I get to go hang out and see how things move, and when I recognize that in TV and film production is just like music production, if you do it right, where you just make sure the right people are in the room. You make sure that the right writers are there to help. You make sure that the authentic voices are in the writer's room. You make sure that the person who's filming it can see the scenery, almost like the details and things, and they understand it.
Are you writing this for specific people in mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a couple of people, like, because it's based on some things that I knew, so it's like it was a lot easier to kind of start. But what I did was I got with someone who was a real writer, professional, credited writer, showrunner, to help, and it's making it, I guess, that much more of a fun process, because first of all, there's some validation in my idea, and in the original script that I wrote is like, oh, that's a real script.
How long did it take you?
Ooh, like 4 years. 4 or 5
really?
years.
Believe it.
Is that, and you wrote a whole like season?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay.
no. It took 4 years to write a pilot.
A pilot?
Yeah, because again,
no, I mean, I don't know.
No. But again, I say that because again, in those 4 years, I had to learn how. Like the first time I wrote it in my notes.
Sure.
Like, as this person, then this person's gonna say, then, but it was like literally like this long drawn out way of writing. Like, oh, and then they would be like, and they would drive up in this car, and and then when the first person I showed it to was like, oh man, I see the story, but it's not at all written well.
I feel you, KP.
Yeah, like but for real, it was like, that's actually a really great premise. It's a great story. Now you need to learn how to write it in structure.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't written bad, like grammatically. It was written bad, like it didn't have a structure.
It's like you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
And this guy's going to pop out from the left. And
yes. And it's like, the way that you say that is scene, it opens, and learning that was the 4-year process, because just because you read it doesn't mean that you can apply it all the way. And then I had to go through the process of sending it to really smart people and let them criticize it and let them redline it and get feedback. And it was fun because it put me in the position to in the other side of the position that I'm in on A&R, like where, you're
that person.
I'm now having to like.
So you're the artist.
Yeah.
You're basically
he's the writer.
Well, but I mean,
writer.
But what's funny is the person who's helping me do it, I sent her the script.
It's a her.
I sent it. Yeah,
we just narrowed it down 50%.
1,000%. When I sent it to her, she was in the middle of doing something that was really important to her already. That was happening, and it took her like 3 or 4 months to read it.
No.
And in those 3 or 4 months, I was rewriting. I was doing everything because I was like, this shit sucks. Oh God. But it was just, she just didn't have the time. Like I've sometimes not had time to listen to a demo. Mm-hmm. It was that feeling. But when she hit back, she was like, oh, this is dope. I definitely want to help.
Wow.
Just like that.
That's awesome, man. No, it's once again, full circle from kind of how you started this as far as like wanting to learn and just always like being curious and not, being satisfied with like what you know already. Like that's how I feel too, man. It's like we're trying new things right now with the podcast and just with our company. And it's like the most exciting shit is the new shit. You have to admit.
Of course.
Cause it's like, I'm not saying we're like podcast veterans and shit, but like,
but y'all got like 100
interviewing
1,000 interviews, right?
Exactly. Like
something like that.
We've interviewed a lot of people. We've done a lot of like short form content, and like that's awesome. We've found ourselves to be like getting pretty good at that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of doing these other things. Like we have a concert coming up in February, here in Atlanta, and so like doing stuff like that, and then these other things that we're getting ourselves into. It's like that's what.
We're very comfortable also with shit not working out, which is why it's fun.
You have to be like,
we're going to find out if it works. And it's like, oh shit, is this going to work? Or can we cross it out the list and try the next thing? You know what I mean?
The art tightrope. You know what I mean? It's like where it's only fun if there's a chance of you fucking it all up.
Yeah. If it was a guy walking across the street, it's not interesting.
But a guy
if it's a highway,
tightrope, across the highway,
you might be onto something
for sure. Yeah. Henry, we've entered a final segment of the podcast.
Are we there?
We're there, man.
Oh shit!
Let's take this. Let's take this shit home.
Flew by, man.
I know. I could talk to KP for hours,
days.
We're not fucking Joe Rogan,
right? Before we get into the rapid fire rampage, just selfishly, I just want to ask. So, picture a young Henry. I want to say like 2006, maybe.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Okay.
No, he would be
the catcher, the chubby catcher, right?
No, that's who actually said it. He's right.
That is.
No, he's right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right. Never mind. Yeah, I stand corrected. KP's right, of course.
I just want to know selfishly. I'm getting driven home from like a summer camp by my cousin, and he turns on this music I've never heard before. What is this? And it's Top Back, and it's the song that I've always my whole life given credit to getting me into hip hop. Just do you have like any involvement? Do you have any memories? Any just quick story about that song?
I heard it. It was dope.
Period.
That's it.
But I wasn't. No. But by this time, Top Back was King. What was that?
It was on
Urban Legend.
Urban Legend.
It was on Urban. Yeah, I think Urban Legend.
Oh no, it's trap music.
Oh,
it was way back. It might have been trap music. That's the second album, right?
It was Top Back.
Yeah,
not way back.
I said Top Back.
It was Top Back.
He did. He said Top Back.
I know, but you said it was way back.
No,
now you're doing the dad jokes.
I know. Come on.
It was actually King.
Okay.
It was on King.
Go with your instincts, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had nothing to do with like making the album. By this time, T.I.'s on cruise control. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's working. He's good. Like,
but was he still on Ghetto Vision at that point?
No, it's just always been my brother. Like, from that point on, it's like I call him my little big brother sometimes because he's accomplished a lot.
Yes.
But when that song, I heard when it came out. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't hear that during the process of songs that he would play.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I was at Sony doing
Sony things.
Executive VP shit.
Doing Sony things.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, just selfishly wanted to get that out of the way. But
here's the thing though, if that was such an important song, make sure that you go on Opus Entertainment Group. And we're doing the 20-year anniversary of trap music with the Atlanta Pops at the Woodruff Music.
Oh, the Art Center?
At the Art Center, yeah.
Coming up?
Shit.
Yeah, we're doing a symphony show with T.I.
When is that?
December 28th and 29th. We had to add a show because the first show sold out.
Oh my God.
Damn, bro.
Okay.
So, and I just, because of that song, it's like, that's like one of the ones that is like.
Oh my God. I can't imagine.
All right, I'm just going to shoot my shot right now.
Okay.
Could we get some passes, bro? Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah. Opus Group Entertainment.
God damn it, KP.
But you know what? What's today? I can give you a 10% code.
All right.
We'll take it, man.
We'll take that.
We'll take it. Let's go. I had to shoot the shot.
No, I know. I appreciate it.
You respect it?
Respect it, I guess. For sure.
Respectfully. Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't respect
Anyway, this is the Rapid Fire Rampage, KP. It's just a 3-part rampage. We're going to have a little fun here. It starts with some short answer questions. Here we go. I'm going to get the really tough ones out of the way, starting with, how are you doing?
Great.
Okay, moving on. KP, what is the last song that got stuck in your head? This is gonna be great. Sexy Red or
Peaches and Eggplant.
Ooh, shout out Coop.
Yeah, we interviewed Coop.
Did you call him Coop?
Coop. This has been a long week.
Yeah.
Bow, 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 bow.
KP, can you name a super important truth about the music industry that people don't want to accept, but they really need to?
You get what you negotiate.
So have someone that can do that if it's not you. I'm sure. You can only eat one meal for the rest of your life. What is it?
Houston's.
What's the meal? Steak?
A steak, potatoes, and fries. Well, I actually do fries with the mashed potatoes. It's weird. But
That's
It's
awesome.
a lot of potatoes, but yeah.
hey, man, I'm a growing boy.
Is it weird that my head
you care?
immediately went to peaches and eggplants when you said one meal? I was like,
I'm turning your mic off again. So,
eggplants.
KP, for this one, we're going to need your phone. Do you have it?
Yeah, it's over there.
It's over there? Okay, well, we'll skip that one. KP,
No,
moving on.
but what is it? I might.
Yeah, you might know, actually. What are the open tabs currently on your internet browser?
Oh, shit.
wow.
No, let me get my phone. Hold on.
Yeah,
I want to know this.
Yeah.
I think it could be interesting to
This
see.
is great.
Ben, say something interesting, quick. Tell a joke.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsors.
Who don't exist, reach out anytime.
Okay.
Opus Entertainment Group.
Straight up.
Use OMT10
Yeah,
for a
code
10%
OMT10.
discount.
Okay, there's a SVA payment because my daughter is in SVA and I just paid tuition.
Okay.
Departments,
Yep.
feature film, a guitar center,
What are you buying?
Christmas gift for my son.
Okay.
The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, South got something to say. Actually, I'm pretty PG over here.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that documentary, by the way?
I thought it was dope.
You thought it was dope?
Yeah.
Okay.
I luckily, I don't know why this is in here, but this was one of the ones. It was like John Gotti, Time Magazine.
On Time
cover.
Magazine?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it is. Me and Barry were talking. Barry Hefner. Yeah.
Shout out Barry. Who will not come on the podcast. He will not do podcasts.
He needs a podcast.
I know.
he
I think
does,
he'd be great. Sure.
His tweets are a podcast.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he understands his audience.
Yep, he does.
He does. Last one of the short answer. This is called Ideal Audio. KP, you can pick any artists, producers, writers, alive or dead. Just create the perfect song right now. It's a perfect question for an A&R, right?
This is perfect for KP.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones producing with Pharrell
Oh my God.
and
Put anybody on it.
possibly
You on it?
drums by like Metro.
Wow.
Written by Stevie Wonder and Dream.
Oh my God. Literally, it doesn't matter who the artist is.
Just wait, Henry.
No, I mean, just because it just makes sense, I'm gonna say Usher.
Wow.
Usher's set up for greatness.
Man,
Crazy.
have you been to his Vegas residency?
I have.
Is it amazing?
It is.
Is it
God.
Isn't it Dre's or
No. It's an MGM.
why do you say it like that? Is Dre's?
No, because Dre's is a club,
Yeah.
and MGM is like a
Ball
like
like
a theater.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a
bigger.
huge
Okay.
arena, like not
Okay.
arena, but theater.
I didn't mean to like.
Minimize
Sorry,
his
Usher.
greatness.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you
Can't go out
offend
there
Usher?
skating,
and
singing in
KP?
dress.
All right. This next part is called the this or that. I'm just giving you two choices. Pick one. Here we go. Starting with hooks or verses.
You can't say both.
No.
I gotta say hooks if I want to stay in business.
Smart man.
Books or podcasts?
Books, actually.
Good job, Henry.
Saved it.
Yep.
Hard work or talent?
Hard work.
I just want to like ask everyone that and then make a compilation of
That just says-
everyone answering hard work.
Doesn't matter how good you are.
TikTok or YouTube?
TikTok.
Concept album or collection of hits?
You can't ever say both.
Nope.
And that's why it's a good question.
But my career has kind of been both. So, but hits.
Yep.
Hits, man.
Fair enough. K-pop or death metal?
K-pop.
$1 million or invisibility?
Invisibility.
I thought you were going to say or dinner with Jay-Z.
Hilarious.
Jay-Z already answered that question. Can we just dead that forever, please?
No.
Like, you better get your money.
Yeah. It's all in my lyrics. And finally, become a full-time rapper or leave the music industry.
Like, I can only be a rapper in the music industry.
That's it.
Even though that's not my talent.
Correct.
That's what makes it a fun question, KP.
Full-time rapper.
He's got the tools already. Like, he's set up. I think he could do it.
I just don't want to be famous like that.
Well,
Yeah.
too bad. You're on the One More Time podcast now, my
yeah.
friend. You're blowing the fuck
out of here.
up, bro.
Look, Mom.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, the last section is the word association. I'm going to say one word. Just give me the first word right back that you think of off the top of your head. There's no right answers. You're only judged on speed.
You're only judged.
We're judging. Starting with hip-hop,
Great.
umbrella,
Rihanna.
COVID,
Fucked up.
bow and arrow,
Ouch.
za,
Za.
completed the... I should have said Zaza.
It's perfect.
That was good. 2,
1.
Cybertruck. Content.
That was it.
I was going to say it sounded like his answer.
Hit.
Song.
Riz. I like what he did
So
there.
fire. What a bar.
Op.
You don't have one.
Me personally?
He's got so many, bro. He's got so many ops, this guy.
Listen, if you hear a car pull up, like, pull the strap out. That was all I'm saying. Lil.
Baby.
Ghetto.
Vision.
Let's go.
KP the Great on the One More Time podcast. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. If y'all didn't get game from this episode, this is just one of those ones where like
It's my fault.
no, I mean, yeah, it's probably KP's fault, but no,
Or
unsubscribe.
they speak Japanese if
Yeah.
they didn't get it, I think, is what the problem was.
Yeah, I guess it's the only explanation, Henry,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's it.
Nah, but appreciate you coming on, man. Seriously.
Bless.
Konnichiwa.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time.